When you're working with different client stakeholders, whether they're internal or external, least imperfect is often the most imperfect option. It's the only way of getting stuff done. And when execution is everything, if you can't execute, you're not much of an SEO. So I'm going to give you a few tips and hints about how to work with different stakeholders, not all of them, but some of them, how to work with developers. So the first thing to realize is what you're asking for may not be possible or may not work based on the platform they have. I'm so glad that Andrew didn't see my presentation, yet still mentioned Google Glass, because I thought it was a brilliant technology. But yes, you look like an absolute knob when you put them on. So a lot of times I come into a client relationship and I find that what I ask for, the most simple things, they can't do. The first reason why is generally JavaScript. A JavaScript headless CMS, a framework, gizmos, gadget widgets, front end, back end, rear end, whatever it might be. I find that 90% of the JavaScript issues in my experience are caused by lack of understanding of code delivery. It's not saying JavaScript is bad. It's saying that JavaScript in the wrong hands is evil. And that's why JavaScript, least imperfect execution of JavaScript, equals the most sanity. So how do we work with developers when JavaScript is involved? Present the desired outcomes. Because no matter what you do, if you say this is what you should do, it's not going to happen. Present what you want the outcome to be. Let them provide the options. Explain, don't tell what you're after, and set expectations. Now, there is a headless CMS called Prismic.io. Now, headless basically means it operates independently of the design elements. And so it's not actually connected directly like WordPress. So this is the kind of crap they put on their website. I call it bullshit stuff because the bullshit is greater than the technical architecture. Now, it's brilliant. Don't get me wrong. It works well when it's done correctly. They even have a page that talks about how to present your content for SEO. You immediately know when they have to have a page that explains how to prepare your content for SEO. It's not ideal for SEO, beside the point. We read those docs and we shared those docs. Of course, we're trying to explain, not tell. We communicate design outcomes. Yes, we did an SEO tab. These are the fields that need to appear. This is where they should appear in the design on the page. And then we let them do it. Now, the challenge with JavaScript is more often than not, you don't know the outcome 100%. We confirmed it was done, but the least imperfect aspect of it is we weren't perfect in this case. We allowed them unlimited characters in the fields that they had for SEO, which they then used. So we had a meta description that was about 500 characters. Not ideal. We had title tags that were, at 250 characters. I mean, there are limits, and we should have set those limits, and these can be pre-configured. They read what they gave them and included things like keywords. So then we got lots of questions around what keywords should we use. And as any SEO knows, keywords are not a very important aspect of it. And spending time explaining why keywords are an aspect took in more time than actually telling them not to put that field in. We learned, we admitted our mistake, we improved our communication. Now, once again, I'm not attacking Prismic.io. This was our bad. This was our bad in not understanding just how literal developers can be. So we set the expectation. In this particular case, afterwards, the process is iterative, which means they're going to do one thing, we're going to review it, and then we're going to come back and say, hey, there's something different we have to do. But that's not generally how we go into a thing. We normally go and say, this is how it had to be done, let's do it. But if we position it as iterative, it's much better in working with developers because what they understand is sprints and builds. So they understand the sense of things are iterative. So if you're talking their language, it's much better. So be a geek. Now, when it comes to JavaScript, being a geek means sharing great resources from Google. It's from Martin Splitt, and this is brilliant. It's a whole video series on different aspects of JavaScript and how Google crawls, indexes and stuff. So if you do come up against a JavaScript framework that you don't love, and I've never met a JavaScript framework I love, then this is something to share. So look and have these resources in your back pocket as well.